So the big moment of the DNC will be when Kamala Harris and Tim Walz officially accept their party's nomination for president and vice president. But over the course of the 4 days, we'll hear a lot about the party's vision for the country. So in addition, the party announced the 4 themes for each day of the convention. Monday is called For the People. Tuesday, a bold vision for America's future. Wednesday, a fight for our freedoms. And Thursday, for our future. Joining us now is Caroline Heldman, professor of political science at Occidental College. Caroline, thanks for being with us as always.
Good morning.
So over the course of the last several weeks, ever since she announced or she was endorsed to be the pick for president, Kamala Harris's campaign and Tim Walz's campaign has gained a lot of momentum. But as we head into the DNC, one thing we haven't heard too much about is exactly their plan, their vision. How do you think the DNC will affect the momentum that the Harris-Walz campaign has seen over the last couple of weeks?
Well, they're certainly hoping to extend that, as you're noting. She probably is hoping for a 3 to 4 point bounce from this convention. But these conventions are sugar highs, right? You get a bounce because people are focused on your party. Your party looks good for a week. I don't care what party it is or what candidate you have. And then that tends to fizzle. And her real challenge, right, is keeping this momentum for the next almost 80 days. What we can expect to see that's different at this convention versus the Republican convention is that she is bringing in former presidents, right? So we're going to see Biden on Monday. We're going to see Obama on Tuesday. On Wednesday, along with Pete Buttigieg and Tim Walz, we're going to see former President Bill Clinton. So this is a party that's going to give a nod to its past leadership, and obviously they're all going to be validating and supporting Kamala Harris's leadership moving forward. A big shift also will be this forward theme. If you notice, the days are actually themed around looking at the future, and this is how Kamala Harris has pitched her campaign versus Donald Trump looking in the past. And I'll just add this note that his handlers are certainly wanting Donald Trump to focus on policy rather than personal attacks or the past, because it's not playing well against this future theme.
Aside from the future theme that does seem to be resonating with a lot of people, she does need to appeal to the moderates because that's who is going to sway this election. We've seen the battleground states, the gap has narrowed. It's a dead tie in most of them. How crucial is it that her specifics of how she plans to bring the country into a new iteration, how important is that for those moderates?
I think it's incredibly important for the economic argument, which is still the driving issue in this election. I think she wins it on reproductive rights. 85% of Americans support abortion under some circumstances. Also on environmental issues, which haven't had a center stage, but will have a center stage at the DNC. But when it comes to the economy, Donald Trump is still ahead of her in terms of who voters think can best handle this. And we saw some of the specifics of her plan versus Trump's. I would say some of her proposals, like a national price gouging policy, are not particularly realistic, but she is at least addressing higher prices, right? She's going after what people care about. We don't actually care about inflation and the rate of inflation as much as we care about the fact that prices are 20% higher now than pre-pandemic. Of course, to counter that, the cost of living, the wages have gone up 22%. So I would anticipate she will really handle hammer economics during the DNC, but she's also going to do a lot of vibing, right? This is a vibe campaign, and that sounds diminutive, but really it's about the idea that people want to feel good looking forward. And we actually now know that Democrats are feeling that momentum. 70% of them say they're highly enthused about this election versus 63% of Republicans. So she has not just closed, but surpassed that enthusiasm gap.
And Caroline, finally, we've seen the rhetoric change. It's picked up. The Trump campaign has really put some more heat into it, taking personal jabs, but it feels like we haven't heard a ton of jabs back from the Harris-Walz campaign. How do you anticipate the rhetoric will be over the next 4 days?
I think we saw something very illustrative at a recent campaign rally when they started at Harris's rally, where they started yelling, lock him up. And she said, no, this isn't a Trump rally. We'll let the courts decide that. So she is very clearly taking a different tone. So as Donald Trump engages in these personal attacks instead of policy attacks, which is what his team wants, Kamala Harris is staying above the fray. I think it's a really smart thing to do because it's going to play well to moderates who are kind of maybe sick and tired of the number of years we've had partisan division in this country.
We'll be watching closely. Professor Caroline Heldman of Occidental College, thank you for your expertise. As always, we appreciate it.
Great to be with you.
And we will be tracking events at the upcoming Democratic National Convention. Our Ryan Yamamoto will bring us live coverage all week from Chicago.